takes to actually figure out who our champion is going to be. First up, Super Frogs versus Tempo Storm. We talked about Super Frogs. We talked about some of the things that they have to offer. What do we see from Tempo Storm, Z?
Well, Tempo Storm is a team that we like to refer to as Counter Storm. They like to win that blind pick with very interesting compositions, to say the least. And then they usually do the back and forth all the way to game 5, getting that blind pick advantage. And their compositions are, your guess is as good as mine, but so far they've been running a lot of Turbo Cleave, a lot of Demon Hunter, Moonkin as well. So we could potentially see something like that come out in game number 1.
That's one of the things that is very interesting about this matchup. That first game could have a little bit of extra weight, because if you do manage to pull down that first game where both teams go in with equal information, you can have an advantage in the series and actually pick into your opponent's weakness more times than they will be able to pick into yours if you can keep that momentum all the way into game 5. But we got to talk about the healers on both of these teams, Supatis, because this one kind of looks like it could be that battle between Botar and Cubsy.
Yeah, I mean, Botar, he's got a lot of BlizzCon titles under his belt. It was definitely a great pickup by Tempo Storm onto this roster to try and last-ditch effort nail BlizzCon. Unfortunately, though, they are in the lower brackets. Skill Cap EU has been a challenge for them that they have not been able to overcome, which means they have a long road in that lower bracket, and their first stop is going to be Super Frogs. Cubsy, phenomenal restoration shaman, and we really credit North America for their restoration shamans. He's definitely one of the top, and I'm really looking forward to see how Botar and Cubsy go head-to-head.
And for anyone who hasn't been following, there's a little bit of drama as well. Botar wasn't necessarily on the team to start. We saw Min Poike on that squad, and then Botar gets brought in at the end. Do you think that's going to have any impact on him? We already got to see them play in Burbank, but now here on the main stage, how do you think Botar will fare?
Well, Botar, obviously, like we talked about, has a lot of experience under his belt. He's not going to get nervous on the main stage. He's going to play to the best of his ability. He feels like in this environment at BlizzCon, this is their opportunity. Last year, Alec, Nixie, they took the championship. Botar, 2-time champion, with Jamie added to the roster, and phenomenal multi-classer and enhancement shaman. The sky really is the limit for this team. They just need to figure out exactly what they want to run, and they have to execute.
And Tempo Storm is also going to be made up of quite a few. Yes, Botar is a BlizzCon champion, but then you also look at the team, and they have the reigning champions as well. And Zico, they had a very distinct flavor when they were the champions last year, and a lot of that did come down to mastering a lot of different compositions. Is it going to be the same here in this tournament?
Yeah, well, the difference between Tempo Storm this year and last year when they were called IBC was that I felt like they had fewer comps to run, but they were very, very solid on those comps. Now it feels like they have more compositions to run overall, but they're worse on each one of those. Really only impressing me with 2 so far. It's hard to draw those parallels, but then again, last year, Tempo Storm did come from that lower bracket and have that deep run, so anything is possible here.
All right, well, Zico's not pulling any punches to start off the day. Let's see what Tempo Storm has to say for themselves.
Now that I know the tournament landscape and I see how capable my teammates are, I have high expectations of us because I know what we are capable of. Rather than just being a competitor, it was kind of obvious that we should be here because we are amongst the best players in the world and in Europe. So it was a given that we should qualify, and now I feel like it's just up to our daily performance to see if we can go all the way. And I expect us to go all the way if we perform.
I'm pretty sure that a LAN only favors my team and me, because online you can always use add-ons and you don't have the pressure of having actual real people in front of you. And I feel like on stage, at least me and I think my team as well, just perform really good compared to others. So that's an advantage.
Super Frogs versus Tempo Storm. Already heard from us on the desk who we think is going to be able to take it. And if you're in Twitch chat right now, you can place your vote. But for the first time in a long time, BlizzCon, you can let your voices be heard as well. Super Frogs versus Tempo Storm. We're about to jump into the first blind pick of BlizzCon. Make some noise. Let's get this started.
We are here, ladies and gentlemen. This is BlizzCon day number 1. Tempo Storm going head-to-head against Super Frogs. Botar debuting on that Holy Paladin. Alec on the Fire Mage. Nixie on that Assassination Rogue. Their opponent, Super Frogs, Cubsy, Restoration Shaman. Chanimal playing the Shadow Priest and trying to diversify for his roster. We can see that Super Frogs are gunning down for Botar early on, but Nixie is backing him up quite effectively.
Yeah, Tempo Storm, they're going to be looking for consistent setups in this matchup. Super Frogs, they just need to weather that storm, and eventually they can secure a kill. Shadow Priest and Assassination Rogue is going to be bringing great consistent damage. Botar already having to pop that Avenging Wrath, going to be able to top off his team, but into the full blind, already trading out a Blessing of Protection.
Botar could easily be swapped to during this period of time. Wealthy Man's going to make the move for it, trying to bait some major defensive cooldowns, but Botar does not fall for the bait, holding on to very vital defensives for a time later on. Despite an excellent swap there, Super Frogs basically get nothing done.
Yep, Cubsy into the cheap shot, Ring of Frost looking for. Alec, unfortunately not finding it there. Wealthy Man into the road. Nixie just trying to put out some pressure. Wealthy Man, like I said, Super Frogs, their objective in this matchup, they just need to stall out, slowly work through Botar's cooldowns, and eventually potentially take Botar down.
Yeah, Wealthy Man just constantly gunning down Botar. He's going to be tested on this Holy Paladin. Cheeky mind control at low health, denying Botar's incoming heals. But in the meantime, Tempo Storm have secured crowd control of their own. Cubsy locked out of the game. Wealthy Man in trouble at low health, but he's still just gunning down Botar. Reckless abandon to try and get a kill. Botar crossing the map, trying desperately to get to safety, but is in trouble. Is forced to trade out Divine Shield. His most vital defensive cooldown is now out of the way, and Super Frogs have a massive lead.
Yeah, that's a huge victory for Super Frogs. Wealthy Man, on the other hand, no Cloak of Shadows, no evasions, really nothing left in terms of defensives. Cubsy's going to have to do a good job getting that Spirit Link out in time. Chanimals can save the day as well. With that Void Shift, he can trade out his HP for anyone on his team at any moment. In the meantime, Botar under fire.
Chanimal just running down Botar, trying to bully him and take him out here in game number 1. Triple Psychic Scream. Super Frogs on fire. Botar has to Gladiator's Medallion, but he's still dangerously low. No cooldowns to effectively trade. He needs his team to back him up. Nice! Quaking Palm at low health. Botar is in trouble as Chanimal looks to finish him. Botar hangs on. Wealthy Man dips low as he's overextended. Botar's making a getaway to safety. Chanimal had to use the Void Shift. Suddenly Super Frogs and Tempo Storm are evening out in this match.
Yeah, but Botar, he can't abandon Nixie. Wealthy Man now reconnecting. Kidney shot on Botar. This could be it. Super Frogs looking to close out game number 1. You can see there's the Blessing of Protection. Cubsy lands a spell full blind at low HP. Super Frogs with a nice setup.
If he can get the sap out of this, he gets denied. Botar's going to come out of crowd control, bounce back up, and now Wealthy Man in trouble with a turnaround. Trades Cloak of Shadows, desperately trying to maintain his health while Cubsy sits through a long crowd control chain. Chanimal looking for a Master Spell, gets counter-spelled by Alec, well timed, great crowd control. Wealthy Man in trouble at this point. Cubsy connects the Spirit Link, saves the day, allowing his team to make another push for Botar.
Yeah, but a triple fear into Kidney shot on Botar. He's all alone, looking to make a getaway once again. If he can sneak behind the pillar and land the Holy Light, he will ultimately be fine. Another nice setup from Super Frogs, but Tempo Storm able to redirect.
That turnaround, Wealthy Man Meteor connects. Chanimal tosses out some support. Great teamwork between the Super Frogs to stay in this despite going all in on Botar. They are starting to stabilize. They've got to make a move. Wealthy Man Shadow steps in, but Chanimal's getting peeled away. That Ring of Frost denying him from connecting, allowing Botar to survive another setup. Cubsy locked down in crowd control. They can't keep the chain going. Grounding Totem will stall it out. Hammer of Justice now connected. Wealthy Man trades, but he was able to get the kidney shot despite that evasion. Wealthy Man's taking huge damage from Tempo Storm. Botar is on fire in game number 1, despite having no cooldowns to work with. He's given his team big openings. Wealthy Man could easily fall. Barely stays in the fight, Benuki.
Triple DR Polymorph on Cubsy is a nightmare for Tempo Storm. Cubsy's going to be freed up, although he gets interrupted. Nicely done by Nixie. He trinkets out, looking to get aggressive with his Vanish. Full kidney shot on Wealthy Man. Cubsy really doesn't have anything to keep him alive, but some nicely timed heals will ultimately save Wealthy Man. Botar still under fire at around 40% HP. Really no cooldowns left to work with.
We have not even stepped foot into dampening, and the intensity of game number 1 here at BlizzCon is absolutely insane. Botar doing whatever he can to buy his team time for a final attempt. Botar, he trinkets, he line of sights, ducking for cover, but Chanimal's all over him. Avenging Crusader should stabilize Botar. Wealthy Man now needs to cower. He uses blind, denying the damage. Mind controls from Chanimal. Good support from the Super Frogs, breaking up this assault.
Yeah, Super Frogs is just one clean setup away from taking down Botar. He's got 10 seconds left on his bubble. They can get a nice kidney shot here, close out the game, but it's looking like it's going to be unlikely. Botar weathers the storm. He's going to be able to survive long enough for his Divine Shield, and now Super Frogs, they're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Triple crowd control right now for Tempo Storm, but Botar has been isolated as well, and Divine Shield is traded immediately. Botar does not want to be caught at low health with a potential Mass Dispel threatening his life. So Botar makes the safe move there, but he won't have that defense to rely on later on. He needs to buy at least another 16 seconds for that blessing of protection. Will Tempo Storm be able to buy Botar the time he needs? At this point, they're setting up great crowd control on Cubsy and dipping Wealthy Man down to about half, but here comes the attempt. Botar needs 5 more seconds.
Triple setup once again. Alec denies with a nicely timed Dragon's Breath. Cheap shot on Cubsy. Can LX find the Ring of Frost? Unfortunately not able to. Looking for a Polymorph, but Cubsy excellently done. Going to be able to line of sight it using the Wind Shear to avoid that crowd control and keep Wealthy Man alive.
Botar is a phenomenal druid, but him on this Paladin in this match is phenomenal. On the BlizzCon stage, breaking that out, showing the diversity and the range of classes from Tempo Storm is going to be a threat for them throughout this series and the entire tournament. Cubsy with a nice move there, preemptive Earthen Wall Totem during the attack, but Alec holds out on the crowd control, saving that diminishing return for another push later on. Hammer of Justice committed. Alec blinks in to secure crowd control. Wealthy Man in a 3-on-2, but he does not seem to care. He's just going to gun straight for Botar.
Yeah, with Chanimals not in crowd control, he's able to easily get these Mass Dispels out, freeing Cubsy from crowd control, allowing Super Frogs to get aggressive. Nice double fear from Chanimals, looking for a setup on Botar once again. Only thing he has to keep himself alive is his trinket, but he's doing such a good job using this pillar, line of sighting, avoiding damage, really allowing Tempo Storm more and more setup opportunities.
Wealthy Man dipping low as Botar leads the charge with that Avenging Crusader, dishing out tons of pain. Cubsy trades the Spirit Link Totem. He does not want to fall behind. A misplay here by Wealthy Man. That diminishing return blind is going to allow Botar a lot of freedom to keep his team aggressive, which means the Super Frogs are going to be on the back foot and potentially going down in game number 1. Huge damage from Alec. Game 1 to Tempo Storm.
And just like that, EU is able to strike first blood here at BlizzCon, and it looked like they were going to just be taken out in this first game so many times. And Botar, after all this time, he's back, Zico. Botar is back.
Botar played phenomenally in this match. He had such great survivability. He kited and he used his bubble right away. Then he managed to stay alive, getting his bubble back once again, and he just the rotational defensive management on his CDs was just top notch. It looks like he's been playing Paladin this whole time.
I mean, that really is something that you have to bring up, because Supatis, we were in a position where every single defensive cooldown had been used, and all of a sudden, Botar makes it to another position where he can have them to work with again.
I mean, you can't count Botar out, man. That was insane. Just breaks it. He looked like a completely different player than we saw on opening week, where Looney really, I would say, outshined him. But he is now back, ready to go.
Okay, well, we got to say, Botar's back, but Cubsy never left. Let's actually compare them head-to-head and look at everything that these guys actually bring to the main stage here at BlizzCon, Benruki. What is it about Cubsy that makes him such a formidable opponent as well?
Well, he's just a phenomenal healer. He's exceptional at Shaman. He's been getting credit from teams from around the world, basically saying he is one of the best Shamans in North America, if not the entire world. Cubsy normally doesn't get the credit that he deserves, but he's a phenomenal multi-classer as well, playing Resto Druid at a very, very high level.
And also, taking a look at these stats, folks, just want to let everybody know, these are only statistics from matches played in Battle for Azeroth. So that's going to keep them as accurate as possible. So all of these handled in BFA, and that's why you're going to see the numbers a little bit lower than what we typically see when we had a little bit more history in Legion. And when we look at these two guys, Zico, and everything that they do bring, the healers that they do play, which one do you feel is more advantaged in this matchup? Because honestly, we weren't even talking that much about the RPS, the Rogue Priest Shaman coming out. We kind of assumed that we were going to see Chanimal maybe on that balance druid.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't really seen Super Frogs bring out the RPS, and this was a really, really nice pick from them. The RPS, of course, a little bit unconventional since Chanimal is on that Shadow Priest, but it's a great pick. I think that they assumed that Tempo Storm was going to run something like the Turbo, like the Demon Hunter, balanced druid, so they wanted to take them by surprise, but Botar, of course, stepping in on that Holy Paladin, looked so incredible on it, and that is the big reason to why they were able to win this match. If it wasn't for Botar being able to play the Holy Paladin, I really do think that the Super Frogs would have walked away with this one. And with Kabzi, he plays the Druid and the Shaman, I would say even better than Botar to some degree. But the Holy Paladin, that's what really makes the difference here.
That's a big praise coming out for North America out of Zico. And also right now, guys, the teams are going to be locking in their compositions. They're going through the draft right now. And it is really important to dial in on the format. So Supatis, anybody who is watching for the first time, how exactly is a series going to play out?
All right, the first match is a blind pick, and we've discussed that before that last game. Neither team really knows what composition is coming their way, and it's a bit of a surprise. But if you can win that game number 1, you'll gain the swing match advantage should the series swing to a game 5, which means that you'll be able to select the location, the map, and your composition into your opponents. It's very important at this high level, with how much diversity and range the players have on each class and specialization, that you take a win on that blind pick so you can have the swing match advantage.
Exactly, and when you talk about a team like Tempo Storm in particular, Ven, they are a team that is going to be strong in a lot of these counter-comping situations. It seems to be the place that they thrive in. Now, they got the first game under their belt.
Yeah, Tempo Storm very confident. If they can win the first game, they can win the matchup. What's interesting to me is what Tempo Storm is going to lock in blind. Are they going to be going with the Rogue Mage Paladin once again? Super Frogs, they've selected Dalaran Sewers, a very small map. Maybe Tempo Storm could use this to their advantage, locking in something like a Turbo Cleave, a Cleave-style composition on Dalaran Sewers with the limited amount of mobility for people to run away with a small space. Could be good for them.
As much as we said Botar played out of his mind, that was the closest game. He was basically at the teetering point of just falling over at any moment. If he made even one mistake, it was done. So I'm not surprised to see Tempo Storm switch Botar off that Holy Paladin, go for a Mistweaver Monk, realizing how threatening the Shadow Priest was from the Super Frogs. They want to remove that threat likely and force Chanimal to change specializations while they lock in their composition. They also swing the map in their favor. Turbo Cleave prefers the smaller maps. So strategically, Tempo Storm make a smart decision by doing this.
Yeah, not only that, but they keep Super Frogs guessing. Super Frogs, you know, after that game, losing that match, I'm sure there's things that they wanted to improve, but Tempo Storm basically giving them a brand new composition basically allows Super Frogs to lose that opportunity. So I think it's very smartly done.
Exactly. Super Frogs could basically be in a place right now where they go, okay, this is how we would have won that last game, but by Tempo Storm switching up what they're playing, all of those notes, you can just rip them up. You need to come in with a fresh mind and figure out what your win condition is going to be. If Tempo Storm Zico is able to take this, not only does it put them on match point, but also it just swings the momentum so much in their favor that, you know, we could potentially see the Super Frogs croaking kind of early.
Yeah, I mean, if Tempo Storm wins this, it's a pretty high chance that they can just 3-0 Super Frogs here. Super Frogs needs to find an answer to multiple compositions now, and they're not going to have too much time to do it either. Like Manruki said as well, utilizing the Cleaves setup on Dalaran Sewers is, of course, a very, very smart choice. But Botar did look a little bit shaky playing that Mistweaver in opening week. So hopefully he's had some time now between then and here to clean up that play and to bring his A game.
Now, we did see Super Frogs going straight for Botar in that blind pick when he was on the... Ooh.
Guess who's coming in?
Chun-Li.
It's your boy Chun-Li. He's going to be playing that Demon Hunter Balanced Druid Restoration composition, and this is a composition that Method Orange have pioneered and had massive success in Battle for Azeroth. So this is what I wanted to see from Chun-Li. He's not able to utilize the Windwalker Monk in the current meta, but that Demon Hunter pick would be perfect for his team. This entire tournament rides on his shoulders now.
It's got the Batman utility belt as well. That really is something that we've seen from Demon Hunters.
Yeah, Demon Hunters have such a broad toolkit now. They bring in, of course, the Mana Rift, which is crucial for winning these mana-based games, essentially, which works against pretty much every healer except for the Resto Shaman, I would say. They also have targeted stun, AoE stun, a ton of defensive utilities. They can help out their teammates as well with big defensive cooldowns like the Darkness. So Demon Hunter is just a super solid pick, and I'm really happy to see Chun-Li play it, because it is kind of similar in a lot of ways to how Windwalker monks used to be back in Legion. And Chun-Li, of course, we praise him all the time as the best monk.
I think that's actually a really good way to look at it. We've talked about it before, but Demon Hunter almost fills that role that Monk used to fill with having so many different options. It can set up it can also do the damage, and you know what? It can sustain itself as well.
Yeah, there's no question about it. A lot of defensive utility coming in from the Demon Hunter. Chun-Li, known as a very defensive monk. He's good at finding those burst kills, but he was exceptional at keeping his team alive. And on the Demon Hunter, he's going to have a little bit different role. He's got to make sure he's getting out consistent pressure, landing those mana rifts over and over and over on Botar so they can eventually get him out of mana and close out the game.
Yeah, Chun-Li was super good at using Ride the Wind, right, when we actually watched him on the Monk, and now he can actually fly. So I'm expecting him to look quite good on the Demon Hunter. But I want to ask, strategy-wise, Supatees, before we actually jump into this next one, we did see Botar being the one who had the target on his back. It was when he was on the Paladin. Now that he's on the Monk, do you think he may still be that pressure point that they're going for?
I mean, quite possibly you can switch to the Mistweaver early on. You can sort of bait him to use that Wave the Crane on your Solar Beam Entangling Root combination. So Wave the Crane can remove that crowd control. Then you start punching really aggressively on that Mistweaver. And the Turbo Cleave is the main goal is to just get in the face of Super Frogs, kill them as quickly as possible so that Chun-Li's Mana Rift can't burn the clock for Botar. This map does play to the favors. I almost would have liked to see a different map selected from the Super Frogs. I'm wondering if they were really aware of this Turbo Cleave threat, because now this map is playing in favor of Tempo Storm, and this is what we credit Alec for, as being the strategist.
He definitely is. He is able to turn situations around at the drop of a dime, and now we're going to see Tempo Storm not only on a composition that they looked fantastic on, but also one that when we talked to players at the beginning of this tournament, they said it was probably the scariest composition you could bring. And now the gates are open, and 66% of you think that Tempo Storm can take the whole series.
Yeah, Tempo Storm looking to get aggressive very early on Chanimals. Jamie and Nixie closing the distance. Chun-Li looking for a little bit of counter pressure. There's an interrupt into incapacitate on Cubsy. Nice setup from Tempo Storm.
Wave the Crane activated early on by Botar. Gunning after Chanimal. Cubsy deflects. This Earthen Wall Totem should allow Chanimal to comfortably sit through this. Potentially, there's actually a huge amount of damage. Triple Intimidating Shout on game number 2. Chanimal tries to jump to safety, but they are in hot pursuit. Chanimal hovering at below half. Cubsy gets Ring of Peace, luckily not off the side, but they swap to Botar, trying to catch him off guard for that aggressive push. They managed to pull a lot of defensive cooldowns from Botar's line.
Yeah, he used his Life Cocoon, he used Fortifying Elixirs, his Trinket, basically everything Botar used. He's already down to around 50% mana. Keep in mind, the Way of the Crane, although a very powerful offensive ability, costs the Mistweaver Monk a lot of mana, so Tempo Storm, they have to be patient with that. Super Frogs, on the other hand, if they can stall out the game, they will ultimately win.
Botar is just playing all-out aggression. This match could end quickly. We see crowd control initiated by Chun-Li, but no pressure. Chanimal is just pinned down, unable to get any counter pressure rolling. The next crowd control onto Cubsy could potentially close this match, but a triple secured by Chun-Li, putting the team on his shoulders right now, and hard carries game 2.
Folks, welcome to BlizzCon. We are going to see this series all tied up. Seiko, for anyone who doesn't have eyes quick enough to catch what just happened, how did Super Frogs leapfrog back into this one?
Well, I just wonder, why has Chun-Li been playing Asta Rogue this whole year? He looks great on the Demon Hunter. And of course, it is based off of that aggression in the start, very, very early on. We saw Tempo Storm get the best opener ever onto Super Frogs, but then Chun-Li manages to find that one moment where he stuns up Botar, they force out his Trinket, they get the Life Cocoon as well out of the way, and then the next time Tempo Storm goes aggressive, which of course they have to do because they are on the clock, they will lose that mana war before they can kill anybody. So they have to play to win. And when that happens, Chun-Li sees another opening, gets a beautiful triple Chaos Nova, and then he just goes berserk.
Goes absolutely bananas there, and 66% of people at home thought that Tempo Storm were going to take it. You thought that Tempo Storm was going to take it when we made our initial predictions as well, but I don't think any of us really expected to see this composition coming out from the Super Frogs. We're seeing a lot of diversity from them. What do you think now? Is your prediction still the same?
Well, I thought that this could potentially be something that they could pick up, but this is also something that Tempo Storm plays a lot. So if Tempo Storm doesn't have an answer here, they could go back to mirrors. They have some options, but this definitely shows some nice life in Super Frogs, because we kind of did count them out as this Moonkin Rogue Shaman team. Now we've already seen the RPS, and we've already seen the Demon Hunter Moonkin, and Chanimals on Moonkin looks super, super good.
It's do or die, though, right? This is an elimination series, so seeing the life is nice, but we need to see it come to fruition. Otherwise, they will be eliminated. And Supertees, how are you feeling about this matchup currently? Do you think that this may be enough for Frogs to actually swing it?
Well, I think what we're going to see here is if the Frogs blind lock that Demon Hunter, Botar is going to be forced to Restoration Shaman. And if they can make this a matchup between Botar's Shaman and Cubsy's Shaman, I give the advantage to Cubsy. I just feel like in the tournament in the opening week, we saw Looney outperform on the Restoration Shaman, and I don't think Botar's Shaman is at the same level as a lot of the other Shamans competing, so maybe he goes back to the Rogue Mage Paladin. I would love to see his Paladin again. His Game 1 Paladin was phenomenal. I think that's likely their decision, but this Demon Hunter pickup by Chun-Li, the fact that he can diversify to it and has it available is now such a threat for Tempo Storm that they have to really consider their options.
Back-to-back wins would be enough to strip away that advantage that comes with that first win in the series. But folks, it's all tied up. We're going to give the players a few moments to lock in their compositions as we keep BlizzCon rolling.
The 2018 World of Warcraft Arena World Championship is brought to you in part by Republic of Gamers, Corsair, T-Mobile, Samsung SSD, and NVIDIA.
In the Overwatch League, you're hyping up the chat, taking your team to hashtag trending, and spreading memes at tracer level speed.
All while watching us cap the point.
Speed like that deserves a network that can keep up. With T-Mobile, get all the Overwatch League you can handle with coast-to-coast coverage. Now your arena is where you make it.
As stated on the tickets and the notices at the door, this esports event is being live streamed and recorded for
get back to business. It's NA versus EU, and honestly, there's just not a better way to start the day. BlizzCon, you seem ready. Let's figure out who is going to take this series. It's all tied up, 1-1. Zico, we've already started to talk about the nitty-gritty, which compositions we expect to see. How do you expect this next game to play out?
I mean, Tempo Storm does have a couple of options, but one thing that we saw that was really interesting over in the European Cups was that Tempo Storm played that Outlaw Fire Rogue Mage Priest, and they had a really, really strong success with that comp. And that comp does super well into Demon Hunter, Boomkin, Resto Shaman. So we could potentially see them bring out something like that. They could also go for the Demon Hunter, Shaman, Boomkin Mirror, which I would agree with Sid on. I don't think they're advantage just because Cubsy being so good on that Resto Shaman.
Okay, so basically you're saying that Tempo Storm has something that goes super good into the Super Frog, Super Tees. Do you think that that really is the case?
I mean, I really don't want to see Tempo Storm substitute Botar on that Shaman. Instead, now going to the Paladin, but Super Frogs actually blind locked the Shadow Priest. So Tempo Storm have specialized this cleave composition. Holy Paladins do great into Shadow Priest. They can remove all their damage over time effects with an Honor talent that allows them to remove all of them at one Dispel. So that Holy Paladin is great into damage over time effects, and Botar was playing phenomenal on it in game number 1. I'm very excited to see him back on it.
Yeah, one thing this says for sure is Super Frogs, they are not comfortable locking in the Demon Hunter, Moonkin, Resto Shaman blind into Tempo Storm. That means Tempo Storm, they know they have an answer for that composition. I think this is heavily favored for Tempo Storm with this Turbo Cleave, with the Holy Paladin. Holy Paladin's exceptionally good against the Assassination Rogue.
We're definitely seeing that Super Frogs want to play this composition on the blind, right? We saw it in the Grand Arena, now we're going to see it here again. But I want to talk about the Turbo Cleave. So we always call Warriors and Enhancement Shamans a Turbo Cleave, but there's a lot of variance that this composition can actually bring. I mentioned before we even jumped in when we saw the Turbo the first time it came out from Tempo Storm that people were kind of saying this was the comp to play, this was the comp to beat at this BlizzCon. What is it about this composition, Zico, that makes it so strong and have so much variance?
Well, it's just a combination of things. So the Turbo Cleave, the main thing it's missing is those long crowd control chains that we can see from something like Hunter comps or Rogue Mage. But what they have instead is a lot of durability. You have two very, very difficult to kill melees in the Enhancement Shaman as well as that Warrior. And then they have a lot of high uptime and a lot of damage. And what Turbo Cleaves likes to do is they pick a target, in this case it could be Chanimal, it could be Wealthy Man, and then they just like to sit on that target, dealing as much damage as possible, and then slowly but surely withering down the mana bar of the enemy healer.
Yeah, so like you like to say, they pick that one target and they try to deletify it, but now we need to look at the composition that the Super Frogs are bringing, Super Tees. We already talked about how the Turbo wins. How does the Rogue actually manage to find this win alongside the Priest?
Well, I think one way to victory is to get Botar's Gladiator Medallion with a blind and then make a swap to him with your Vendetta, and that's likely to be the classic setup that Super Frogs look for. That is their main opportunity for victory, but if Botar plays a solid defense like he did in game number 1, I'm not sure if the Super Frogs are going to get through that.
All right, well, BlizzCon, make some noise. This one is going to put a team on match point in our first elimination series of the day.
Yeah, Wealthy Man in stealth. He's looking to move in, looking for an opener. We'll have to see what Super Frogs decide to do. Cheap shot on Jamie. Botar looks to be the target of choice once again. Chanimal's leading it with the silence into kidney shot. Wealthy Man looking to get aggressive very early on.
Super Frogs with great crowd control, but Nixie denies further follow-up, and now Botar will have an opportunity to strike back, securing a chain on Cubsy and going straight for Chanimal. Botar playing very aggressively with that blinding light talent. Unfortunately, diminishing returning from Nixie's intimidating shout, and that diminishing return misplay is going to lose Tempo Storm an opportunity.
Yeah, one of the strengths of the composition Super Frogs has is they are very durable. Wealthy Man going to be the most susceptible to damage, but it looks like Tempo Storm, they want to put most of their aggression on Chanimals early on, but he is just so tanky with the Edge of Insanity, with the Shadow form. It's going to be very difficult for Tempo Storm to actually land a kill on him.
You can tell that the tension is high between these two teams right now. Chanimal taking huge damage from Tempo Storm, forced to trade out that dispersion. Wealthy Man still trying to put his team on his back, but Chanimal forced to retreat away. Nixie dealing tons of damage. Jamie securing crowd control. This could be over for Chanimal if he is not careful. Trading out that Vampiric Embrace, positioning far away from Botar and gunning down for Nixie. Great positioning from Chanimal, dragging Nixie out of line of sight and pulling major defensive cooldowns just from a simple maneuver of moving around the corner. Botar now trying to lead the charge, but he's forced to overextend. He may have to trade out his most vital defensive cooldown. Both teams continue swinging.
Yeah, Divine Shield was used. Cubsy still has a Spearling Totem. Channels with the Void Shift as well. Needs to buy another minute and a half for himself on that dispersion cooldown, but Chanimals taking a lot more damage than I would expect. This new positioning from Chanimals, overextending Nixie and Jamie is crucial for Super Frogs to actually land some pressure and momentum. Nixie getting low with a silence on Botar, kidney shot on Botar. He has to trink it out, and Super Frogs has all the momentum.
Both Chanimal and Nixie dangerously low, as well as Botar. Cubsy's dipping low from the Void Shift. Chanimal is still getting crushed. Botar's low, could easily be a cross kill. Chanimal falls first. Nixie's still low. Ultiman trying to carry the team. He needs 10 more seconds. I don't think he's going to have it in him to take him out, and Tempo Storm strike back on game 3.
They stabilize, they take match point, and now we need to talk about something that we're seeing between both of these squads. Back and forth, and it's definitely a skill anybody who wants to be a BlizzCon champion needs, and that is once they get in a position where it looks like they need to play very defensive, they can then turn that into an offensive opportunity.
Yeah, and the offense, like we say sometimes, is the best defense for a lot of these teams, and that was certainly the case for Tempo Storm here. When they forced out that dispersion at the very start of the match, it was very, very surprising how much damage Jamie and Nixie were actually able to do. They forced out that dispersion, just surprising Chanimals and Cubsy with that big burst, and that is what gave them the opening later. Jamie did such a great job in this match, landing that one hex in the start, forcing out Cubsy's trinket, and then they just need to land a Warrior Fear into another hex, and then they can close out the match. Really, really nicely done. But I think the highlight was for sure when they could just get the dispersion out of Chanimal just with raw pressure.
It's insane seeing how comfortable Botar also looks up on the main stage right now. You know, if you expect anyone to maybe feel a little bit rusty or unsure, it would be Botar, having taken a little bit of a break during the competitive season. But it just seems like this is his home PC every time he gets up on the main stage.
Well, Botar did say he feels like Tempo Storm, they have the advantage in this environment on the main stage. They are all going to be very comfortable. You can see them laughing and joking around as they have a comfortable 2-1 lead. And this is looking really good for Tempo Storm. Super Frogs, they're going to have to figure out something.
Yeah, it's definitely the weakness seems to be what they're locking in blind, right? They haven't been able to grab a victory with it yet, and they most likely are going to find themselves, if they do extend it all the way to a game 5, in that position where they're going to need to change their game plan. So Tempo Storm looks like they're starting to hold all of the cards here, Supatis, in our first matchup of the day.
Yeah, I mean, it's all off the back of that blind pick and Botar's phenomenal play. If he didn't manage to pull off a miracle in game 1 to extend the match that far for his team to find victory, they would not have the blind pick advantage, which is paying off right now. So basically the Super Frogs, they can determine the location and they can determine the composition that they want to run into Tempo Storm, increasing their likelihood of victory.
Yeah, and Zico, as we can see right here, we're going to see some of those final moments of the game actually ringing out.
Yeah, and there we have it. Cubsy has no trinket. He gets Warrior Feared by Nixie, which of course is an instant crowd control. Jamie follows that up with the Hex, and then Botar using his Blessing of Protection there to get out of that kidney shot, so he can follow that up with his Blinding Light as well. Really, really nice CC chain coming out of Tempo Storm.
Yeah, they did an excellent job with the crowd control and also their target selection. I was saying during the game, I didn't expect Chanimals to be taking that much damage, getting bursted down, but Tempo Storm, they had a game plan. They wanted to really pressure Chanimals. Shadow Priest isn't his main class, so they were able to put them in a situation where maybe they weren't expecting that strategy. Wealthy Man normally the target in that matchup, but Tempo Storm, the game plan, execution, ultimately earned them the win.
A little bit of a thought process that we're seeing on both sides, right? Okay, he's not necessarily on his main class. Let's focus him. Let's train him, try to take him down. And now the question is, who is going to be able to Tempo Storm?
There we go. And this is with a Resto Shaman healer, so I'm going to give this to you, Van, because you've been super excited about the Resto Shaman RMP.
Yeah, I think it's a really strong composition. The Shaman brings a lot of durability, and the one thing the Shaman brings for sure is a long game with the mana bar. Shamans are very mana efficient, so they're not as susceptible to the Demon Hunter, the Mana Rift, which is very effective against basically all the other healers. So Tempo Storm realizing Super Frogs likely to lock in the Demon Hunter, going with the Resto Shaman sort of forces Super Frogs to change up their game plan.
And Nixie is also going to be on that Outlaw, and Zico, you have been screaming about this specialization since before the tournament even started.
Yeah, I mean, this is such a smart pick in general from Tempo Storm. You get so many win conditions, and most importantly, what Ben was saying is you remove your main condition for losing, which is when you have that Discipline Priest, you will lose on mana. For sure, if you go up against the Demon Hunter, Munkin, he's going to be doing those mana rifts, and slowly but surely the Discipline Priest is going to run out of mana. Shaman, not going to have quite that same issue. And of course, the Outlaw Rogue, we've been talking about it all week, but the Outlaw Rogue is such a great pick right now. They deal a lot of damage. Combined with a Fire Mage, you can boost his damage as well on that Meteor one-shot combo that we tend to see. And best thing about Outlaw is, of course, the Blinding Light as well. Playing on LAN and having a 1.5 CD blind, at some point in the game, you're going to sit a full blind into Sap, and that's going to be very scary.
Not something you want to be facing up on the BlizzCon main stage in an elimination series. And also another thing that you probably don't want to be sitting across from when you're up on the main stage is Botar, who just wins these time and time again. One of the most winningest players in World of Warcraft. And then on top of that, the reigning world champions, because right now, Ashmane's Fall may be the final resting place of the Super Frogs, knocking out an NA team, the first team to go home if Tempo Storm takes it here. 2-1, we kick it off right now.
Tempo Storm breaking out a composition that we have not seen in Battle for Azeroth just yet with that Outlaw Fire Mage Restoration Shaman. We get to see it, the head-to-head between Cubsy and Botar. Will Botar, the European healer, be able to step up to the same level that the North American Shamans are at in this match?
Yeah, Tempo Storm going to be looking to build up some damage. Animals as well. Nixie charging in. Wealthy Man deflects with a cheap shot of his own. Alec just spamming out the fireballs, looking for an opportunity, building up some damage. Kidney shot now on Botar as Tempo Storm looks to get aggressive.
Yep, Super Frogs trying to gun down for Botar early on, constantly in this series, putting pressure on him, but he does not crack under the pressure, trading effectively. Alec now launching an attack with crowd control on 2 members. Wealthy Man is alone, hiding behind the pillar. Nixie looking to try and find the target, but he just can't connect. Wealthy Man finally getting stunned up, but the crowd control has basically been dropped. Great positioning from Wealthy Man.
Yeah, Wealthy Man really shut down that setup, realizing he was in trouble line of sighting. Nixie didn't know which way to go to actually land a stun on him, and when he did, it was diminishing return. So unfortunate for Tempo Storm in that setup. Another blind on Botar. Nixie could be in some trouble, but Wealthy Man caught into the polymorphs. That's going to be shutting down that situation. Chanimal's looking to line of sight once again, retreating to Cubsy. Got interrupted and has to catch up on healing.
Wealthy Man making a swap. Nixie backs him up, drops a smoke bomb, goes for the killing spree, dealing tons of damage. Cubsy still locked down in crowd control, unable to heal. Desperately trying to stabilize through that attack. Wealthy Man trades evenly, and the Super Frogs stay alive. Tempo Storm launching another attack towards Chanimal, not really denting him too much so. Cubsy now out of crowd control and should allow his team to get aggressive.
Yeah, Tempo Storm, they're finding the crowd control in this matchup, but really not finding the damage that they need to close out the game. Alec now has his combustion once again. He's playing the build where his fireballs lowers the cooldown on combustion, so you can see him spam casting that and allows Tempo Storm to get aggressive more often.
Right, Cubsy standing on top of Botar, trying to harass him with lava bursts and wind shears. So Botar's desperately trying to kite away, but Wealthy Man's in hot pursuit. Super Frogs all over him, forcing that astral shift. Nice trade, though, for the Vendetta. Meteor gets dropped. Botar still on the run, but Wealthy Man finally gets peeled away. Good backup from Nixie. Chanimal still just chasing Botar. Cubsy as well. They're on match point. Their tournament lives on the line, and they're going to keep going all in.
Yeah, Botar could be in a little trouble, but he looks to be just fine. Stun on Chanimals. Now a kidney shot on Botar. Super Frogs looking to find some damage, but it just seems like Botar might be able to survive this. There's the silence, still looking to line of sight. Has to actually trinket out. He actually uses his Fire Blood Racial there in order to keep himself alive. Drops his Spirit Link as well. Super Frogs getting cooldown after cooldown from Tempo Storm.
If Super Frog can keep this up, they're definitely taking this match. They are very stable, lots of defensive cooldowns to trade. Botar is so far behind, he's gonna have to do what he did in game 1 to buy his team time for a comeback, but I don't think he's really gonna have that opportunity. He makes a nice move here, preemptively earthen walling this incoming attack. Botar's just on fire today.
Yeah, he's been doing a phenomenal job in this matchup. Chanimal's charging in. On the Shadow Priest, he's gonna be very durable, so he can basically do what he wants. He needs to be the playmaker for his team, landing crowd control, making sure everyone's rotting down. You can see Tempo Storm, they're rotting, they're falling a little bit behind. Botar's mana is looking very good, though.
2 more seconds to Wealthy Man's trinket. barely staying alive during this attack by Tempo Storm as they are just clinging to life at this point in Game 4. It's looking likely that we're going to a Game 5 between these two titanous teams in the lower bracket. Everything on the line. Tempo Storm rotting down. Super Frogs inching closer to that kill.
Yeah, Botar trinkets out though. That's a big victory for Super Frogs. Stun on Cubsy now. Nixie looking for the damage once again. Meteor will connect. Cubsy takes a huge amount of damage. Trades out the Astral Shift, making him very defensive. Should be able to survive this setup, but that was nicely done by Tempo Storm.
Chanimal setting up a triple. Off the back of that, Wealthy Man leads the charge. Tons of damage. Botar has cooldowns to trade, but he's still locked down in crowd control. He may not make it out alive as Super Frogs strike back. Nixie doing his best to peel the entire team. Great teamwork from Tempo Storm to stay alive there. Wealthy Man in trouble. This is match point for them.
Yeah, polymorph on Cubsy. Wealthy Man has to trade out his entire defensive arsenal to save alive. No trinket, no evasion, no cloak of shadows. Cubsy trinkets out as well. Tempo Storm, they just need one clean setup to close out this game.
Either team could take this match at any second. It's match point for Super Frogs if they want to stay alive in this tournament. Tempo Storm have managed to even it out. Super Frogs, they're peeling off Botar. They're not committing for the all-in strategy. Now going after Nixie and going for a safer route, but that might just be the play. Botar locked down in crowd control. Nixie dips low. Botar saves them. And these potential final seconds, Nixie's hovering so dangerously low on health. Can the Super Frogs pull it off? They're losing on mana. They're losing on cooldowns at this point in time. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to do it. Botar gets locked in a stun. No cooldowns for 4 seconds. Tempo Storm needs to buy him time.
Yeah, Alec looking for the polymorph. Master Spell comes in from Chanimal. Everyone from Tempo Storm's rotting down. Chanimal's lands the triple fear. Botar gets out of the crowd control, should be able to stabilize his team, but Tempo Storm just under so much pressure. Counterspell on Chanimals. Alec really looking to slow down some of this damage. Now full stun on Chanimals. Maybe Tempo Storm's going to be switching up their target.
Wealthy Man gunning for Botar. Alec trying to back him up, but Cubsy's right next to him. Super Frogs are playing together as a tight unit, chasing down Botar, keeping up the pressure. Now swapping it up, trying to catch Nixie off guard. I don't think crowd control is long enough to take him out, but Cubsy's mana is slowly but surely running out, but a blind play, no trinket for 8 more seconds. Nixie in trouble, trades cloak, he's on the run. Wealthy Man in hot pursuit, secures the sap. 3 more seconds, 2 more seconds, 1 more second. Now Botar has that trick, he's not trading. Very greedy play by Botar, but he does it. He stays alive, and now keeping the momentum. Cubsy's in so much trouble.
Nixie did such a good job with the counter pressure on Wealthy Man. No cooldowns left. Cubsy into the full blind. Void Chip comes in from Chanimals, saving the day, and now Nixie's the one under fire. Botar trinkets out of the silence, but it is not enough. Super Frog stays alive.
We're going to a Game 5. Super Frog's not going to be sent home that easily. One more game to decide who will stay and who will go.
Nixie, he stayed alive for such a long time, 20 second CC chain in the end. Botar comes out, doesn't manage to top him off before the next CC chain ends, and Nixie just goes down. Wealthy Man as well played so phenomenal defensively. These guys are just kiting circles around each other, and game number 5, what can we even expect comp-wise?
I mean, that really is one of the questions that needs to be on our mind, and to actually figure it out, we need to hear from the Super Frogs themselves.
I'm pretty happy with how every tournament has gone, at least lands. Spring and summer, we did really well, and I don't know, I didn't think we'd do that well at both tournaments actually, but we ended up doing a lot better than we thought we would in both cases, and just performed really well. We all have played in like several tournaments, lands especially, so much experience, and all of us are just good on LAN environments. We don't choke or anything like that, so just came together real well. I think we just had a lot more experience than the other teams we fought.
I think the reason we perform well on LANs is just all of our experience put together, and we're just used to the pressure. I guess one thing you have to avoid at a LAN is being overconfident or underestimating the other team, although like nerves can come into play a lot, and like you just win because of the other team's too nervous or something.
I think like in the past maybe we got discounted a lot by a lot of teams, especially the European teams, because they didn't know really what to expect, and we only played like Warlock stuff mainly. But now that they've seen us play it like spring and summer, I think they expect us to like perform really well, and I definitely think we can do well and just beat teams that maybe we shouldn't with our ults. Winning BlizzCon again would definitely be nice. Just, if anything, to take it away from the Europeans for once, since they've had it since 2014. This change of scenery, it would be nice for NA to get that again.
Tumultuous year, to say the least. They at times looked like the best team, potentially even in the world or in the NA, and then some changes happened. They struggled to adapt, but one thing that has never changed with this team is the fact that they are made up of a roster that doesn't crack under pressure. They are able to bounce back, even with everything on the line. Like we just saw, they have managed to get to this Game 5.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of parallels between a team like the Super Frogs and, let's say, Reformed even. Usually not the strongest during the season. They really had to fight to get that third seed to actually qualify for this event. But once we see them on land, they always show up. And I felt a little bit targeted even in that video, because I was one of those people who counted out Super Frogs at the very start of the year. I was like, yeah, these guys, they just play SRMP. They're nothing special. But then the spring finals came. I saw Chanimal on that Warlock go head-to-head against Warwigs, go head-to-head against all of these players, and just look insane. So this could be anyone's match.
It really was that land, too, when I think a lot of us, maybe as casters, a lot of people who have been watching throughout the entire series, who are probably talking about it in Twitch chat right now, really started to say, okay, Super Frogs, this is a team that could go places in this year, but they can be stopped right here in their tracks by Tempo Storm.
We couldn't ask for a better way to kick off BlizzCon. North American, Europe showdown, a smackdown really between these teams. Chun-Li with a hard carry on Dalaran Sewers, keeping his team in the series, but Botar's defense on that Paladin has been basically perfect. So if Botar is able to get that Paladin lock-in, I'm giving this to Tempo Storm.
I really don't think we could have asked for a better bracket at all. I mean, we have the NA versus EU to start things off. Then we have the EU versus EU showdown, which is going to be coming up next, and Making a Movie versus Reform, which is, they're two squads with so many parallels. They kind of are the battle of the one tricks. And then after that, we get to see the regional showdown between the two Chinese teams. Then we get to see Unitas versus Order. It's just all of these teams have created upsets going head-to-head in the lower portion of the bracket. And we are going to see them playing these elimination series. Now in this Game 5, we're about to figure out who is the first team to be sent home.
And Tempo Storm, they have selected Ruins of Lordaeron for game number 5. Super Frogs now, they have to decide what composition do they want to run. Tempo Storm likely setting this map up for the Turbo Cleave once again. So does Super Frogs lock in the Demon Hunter? Do they go with the Shadow Priest, Rogue Shaman once again? A lot of questions that need to be answered.
Yeah, definitely a lot to say about this map, especially when it does get locked in the final game of the series. But the first thing that we should talk about is just the sheer size of it, Supatis.
I mean, this is 25 seconds before you lock in a composition that could send you home. Everything is on the line for Super Frogs in this lock-in. You have to consider all their options. Do they want to deal with Botar's Mistweaver? Do they have a threat for his Paladin? What is their best option? Chun-Li's play was great on Dalaran. He's definitely on fire. The whole team is playing great. I mean, both of these teams are playing phenomenal. They could really pick anything, and I think they're playing at the top level. They're going to be locking in Chanimal Shadow Priest, Cubsy's Restoration Shaman, and Wealthy Man on that Assassination Rogue. This could quite possibly be their last debut on the BlizzCon stage. Tempo Storm, they know where they're going. They know it's coming their way. And if Botar picks up that Paladin, I think it's curtains for the Frogs.
Super Frogs have played this blind, every single blind pick. Zico, how do you feel about them doing it here again and potentially their final game at BlizzCon?
Well, I think that the comp that has the least amount of hard counters that they have at their disposal would be the RPS. I mean, we've seen it time and time again, and even heard it from the Gosu crew, who kind of pioneered this setup. And they said, well, you have your disadvantage against some stuff, but you have a pretty decent chance to win everything if you play really well. So I think Super Frogs did the right call here. They're going to be disadvantaged against the Fire Mage, Rogue, Holy Pala. They're going to be disadvantaged against the Holy Paladin Turbo, but they also have win conditions against those compositions. If they face the Holy Paladin Turbo, which Tempo Storm seems to be a little bit hesitant to locking in, we could potentially see Wealthy Man sit on Botar. If Chanimal and Cubsy has a good defense, we could see openings there.
Yeah, when we look at Tiger's Peak and what happened, Chanimals ultimately went down after a nice setup from Tempo Storm, playing very aggressive, but Super Frogs, they made it difficult for Tempo Storm. They were moments away from closing out that game. So Super Frogs with this composition, they just need to play it a little better, like Zico sort of mentioned. Chanimals needs to expect being targeted down, just position a little bit more defensively, because I think what can happen with Shadow Priest is they are so durable that sometimes they get overconfident, they overextend, and they compromise basically that defense that they have.
And to take what you were saying a step further, the Grand Arena, there were some serious win conditions for Super Frogs there as well, but let's talk about that Shadow Priest and why they are so durable and why they have felt so confident so many times here in BFA. A lot of that is going to be a new thing that, okay, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. But Super T's, let's talk about the Shadow Priest. What makes them so durable here?
Yep, so with the Edge of Insanity Honor talent, they take reduced damage at maximum insanity. It's what they really rely on to survive onslaughts from composition like this Turbo Cleave. The one thing, though, with Runes of Lordaeron is it's probably the best map to kill a healer in the pool. And we have not seen Tempo Storm really go for any healer pressure on Cubsy, whereas the Super Frogs, all they've done is run at Botar. So I'm not the biggest fan of the Runes of Lordaeron lock-in. There's basically nowhere for Botar to kind of retreat away and out-position, and I think that this map selection could backfire on them.
And now we know when we actually get to Runes of Lordaeron, no matter what happens, we are sending a former BlizzCon champion home.
Yeah, it's going to be either Chanimals or, you know, Tempo Storm minus Jamie. Yeah, it's gonna. It's such a bittersweet thing. You've been competing the entire year, and then it all leads up to this moment. It's Game 5. One game is going to decide everything for you, and you don't want to get kicked out the first round, but that's the way it is.
I mean, you
Someone's
definitely don't want to
go.
be, yeah, but at the end of the day, we're looking at a situation here where it's either going to be NA or EU sent home first, the two powerhouse regions in World of Warcraft esports, and then we're going to see a little bit later on which of those other regions is going to be able to make it further and further in that lower portion of the bracket. But all eyes on this final game here between these two teams. Super Frogs versus Tempo Storm. Super T's going into this one, we have seen a composition from the Super Frogs that's come close to winning several times. Do you think that this map is going to make that strategy of going for the healer viable?
Tempo Storm only won game number 1 because Botar played absolutely out of his mind on that Paladin. On Runes of Lordaeron, he's not going to have time to react. He's going to have to play a step above that to stay in this fight against the Super Frogs. We couldn't have asked for a more fitting way to start BlizzCon. Runes of Lordaeron would also be a fitting final resting place. As it is a cemetery, we will be sending one of these teams home. Only one can be a BlizzCon champion.
BlizzCon, make some noise! Tempo Storm versus Super Frogs! Only one will remain.
Wealthy Man moves in, getting some initial crowd control, looking for some damage on Botar. Chanimals into the stun. Once again, Tempo Storm, they're going to be gunning down Chanimals.
Yes, early on, Super Frogs lead the charge. Botar, though, able to hold on to a lot of powerful defensive cooldowns. But on Runes of Lordaeron, there's really nowhere to run. He's going to be in the fight. He gets blinded on the Avenging Crusader. Opts to trinket and get aggressive. Really aggressive moves from Tempo Storm, but that will leave Botar exposed should Chanimals survive this attack.
Yep, once that Avenging Wrath is down, Wealthy Man, he still has that Vendetta. Blinding Light on Cubsy. Chanimals forced into the dispersion. This is not a spot you want to be in for Super Frogs. Cubsy holding on to his trinket, holding on to his Spirit Link, has the Void Chip. Stun comes in from Nixie. They're looking to continue this damage. Botar actually Divine Shields immediately.
He's going all in. He's just breaking the kidney shots and leading the charge. Botar wants to hard carry with a Gretchen here on Game 5. Match point. Tournament lives on the line. Barely staying in it. Cubsy's got a lot of work ahead of him with 2 members. Dangerously low health. Cap tilted for 1 second. Is that going to be enough? Channel barely hanging on. Wealthy Man forced the kidney shot Nixie. They land the triple psychic scream, buying Cubsy a few moments to breathe. But even with these moments, he can barely top Channel off.
Cubsy did such a good job. He held onto the Spirit Link. Totem still has Trinket Spirit Link to keep Super Frogs alive, and Botar basically traded out everything. Hammer of Justice on Cubsy's Trinket. Chanimal still in some trouble. Cubsy doesn't want to be greedy with the Spirit Link Totem, but he knows the limits of the Shadow Priest. Nixie rotting down low as well. Super Frogs needs one more setup. Everything on the line.
This Cap Totem from Cubsy could cost them the match. Now Wealthy Man can't heal. Chanimal's in trouble. Crowd control secured. Super Frogs could easily be going home, and they will be. Tempo Storm, stay alive.
Just like that, EU going to send North America packing. Botar is back, and they're going to be able to do it with sheer aggression, putting North America in a corner and sending them home.
Yeah, you out-aggress Super Frogs. You want to be in their face and play in a way where they can't get an opening. Every time they try to create pressure onto Botar, he just reacts immediately. Trinkets, Blessing of Protection, Bubble, uses every cooldown he has to break those stuns and to keep the aggression going, keep the damage rolling, and to keep applying crowd control onto Cubsy. And this was another great showing from Tempo Storm, showing us why their turbo is so good.
I mean, we've seen so many different things out of Tempo Storm already just here today at BlizzCon. Yes, we see multiple compositions, but also we see how they're able to figure out different strategies on the fly, and that's a pretty scary strategy. Not many people can employ a strategy like that when they know they're facing elimination.
Well, that's the thing that we always credit Tempo Storm for. They always seem to go for these matchups where the game is, they're happy to take a game to game 5, and they have good blind picks, they have very creative compositions, and a lot of that, of course, is credited towards Alec. Things like the Outlaw Rogue Fire Mage Shaman didn't work out for them, but it was a close game, and that's why they're so good. They have an answer for almost every comp. They just need to figure out what to blind. And more often than not, when they do win that blind, they also have a good chance at winning the entire series.
One of the big things is talking to someone like Alec right now is something that we definitely want to do, because we want to hear how they actually went through that series, how they were able to pick these compositions, and start to try to figure out what we can expect to see from these guys as we move forward in the tournament. Because Supatis, it does seem like Turbo is something that they're going to want to be employing as much as possible.
I mean, this could be some foreshadowing for a series later on in the day. We know the Gosu crew for their Rogue Shadow Priest Shaman, Method Black have also been preparing the Turbo Cleave. So this series could actually spell some of the meta out for that series later in the day, and I'm really excited to see that. But Tempo Storm, phenomenal play. Botar's Paladin, that we saw him play perfect defense and they immediately switched it. I was expecting that map to backfire, but just, okay, I'm going to play aggressive Paladin this time around, and that really worked out for them. So, I mean, if Botar's Paladin can hard carry them the rest of this lower bracket, it's going to be insane.
Benmaruki, I have a big question for you right now, and that is just as somebody who has competed up on the main stage, playing a composition like that in particular, is it just that much scarier? Is it harder to actually make a decision like that?
Well, when you have everything on the line like that, sometimes you play to just not lose instead of playing to win. Tempo Storm playing an aggressive strategy like this, Botar proving why he is a veteran, why he's deserving of being on this stage over and over and over. These kind of plays are just insane. Everything on the line, managed to pull off the victory with a hyper-aggressive play.
Let's be honest, this is a team that knows how to win. We already joked about it, but it is a bunch of BlizzCon champions and Jamie. And Jamie is definitely someone that you do want to have on your team right now as well, because he plays very strong classes in the current meta, so they're able to use him as somebody that is almost a backbone in figuring out these compositions. The only thing that is really interesting about this team is the fact that they're going to all of a sudden have Botar back. We did not expect that. He's just on the main stage firing on all cylinders. But let's take a look, a deeper dive into what this squad was thinking.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am joined by Alec, and last time you stood here, you raised that trophy. You won BlizzCon in 2017. Is it good to be back?
Yeah, it's good to be back, and just like last year I lost my first game, this is almost the same situation. We came one game away from elimination, and let's repeat the story.
Let's repeat the story, he says. It's going to be still a way to go. You've got that lower bracket. Let's talk about your preparation during the week. Obviously, you dropped down during opening week. Here, though, you bring 4 compositions out in 5 games, bringing out your mage once again, which saw you that distance at BlizzCon last year. Talk a little bit about that. What have you guys been doing to prepare for this tournament?
We've been wargaming every day for like 10 or 12 hours. Almost every team has met us, and we bought out something funky today, the Rogue Mage Sham, which actually is really good in practice. But Super Frogs got the better of us. They played really, really well.
Yeah, Super Frog's definitely a strong team, and you're going to have to keep playing against these strong teams throughout the tournament. Next series that we'll all be watching is Making a Movie against Reformed. You'll play against the winner of that series. Who do you think might come out on top in that one?
It's just such a tough call to make, because these are like European titans, and if you think that one of the European titans was going to be eliminated as last place at BlizzCon, then you just realize how high the stakes are and how good the teams are. It's crazy.
The teams this year are absolutely unbelievable, but one of the European titans will still be playing throughout the competition. Tempo Storm take out Super Frogs. Back to you, Reg.
I definitely do see just how tough the competition is going to be this year, but another thing that is really important is to think about how this tournament does play out in particular, because obviously it is in Battle for Azeroth. We have one of these tournaments where all of a sudden a very particular skill set becomes even more valuable. And my question is right now, Zico, in a new expansion tournament, is this the type of team that thrives?
Well, yeah, you got people who have been good at this game for such a long time. People like Alec and Botar who've been playing at the highest level all the way back to the Burning Crusade. Those are the guys you want on your squad because they're innovative, they are very quick to adapt to the meta, and they've proven time and time again that when a new expansion drops, they can remain good, and that's not something that every player has. And that's what you want on your roster. You want people who learn fast, people who are willing to experiment, people who are willing to adapt. And Botar as well was saying that he spent a lot of time theory crafting and reading up on builds, reading tooltips in general to try to figure out how he can get an edge.
The funny thing is, too, is now when we actually do switch into our next matchup, there's a definitive fulcrum shift. All of a sudden, it's Making a Movie versus Reformed. Tempo Storm, Counter Storm, Making a Movie, Reformed. They have one composition each that they really like to play. We've seen them move out of that just a little bit, but the question is, who do you think is going to be able to take it? You can vote right now in Twitch chat, hashtag MAM for Making a Movie, and hashtag REF for Reformed. Both of these teams have a clear flavor, and they know what they want to play. Is the mold going to be broken? Are they going to have to force something different out? That is going to be what we figure out here as we actually jump into the blind pick. We saw NA versus EU, but when we actually do jump back into the action, it is EU versus EU. Then Ricky, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Who do you think takes this one?
Well, I think in the past when we see Reform stick to that jungle cleave, Making a Movie, they stick to the rogue mage pre-setup that they're really known for. Reform seems to get the better end of that exchange. So for Making a Movie, it's going to be a story of them really bringing in Valet, playing different compositions that they have available. Reformed, I think most likely they will be sticking with that jungle. And if Making a Movie, they can sort of diversify a little bit more, I think they could potentially have the edge in this matchup.
Well, now you heard it from us on the desk, and you're voting in Twitch chat right now. We already got to kick off the day with a bang. We started off with NA versus EU, which is what we're all here to see in some capacity, and it is going to be EU who makes it out on top. Super Frogs, the first team eliminated from BlizzCon, but when we return, it's going to be a completely different series. Making a Movie versus Reformed, EU versus EU.